Hello, all. Firstly, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone who is joining us from different parts of the globe today. I am Dr. Pragya Chaube. I am India Coordinator to the UNESCO Chair in Community-Based Research and Social Responsibility in Higher Education, and I am your host today. Before I begin with the main event, I will just quickly give an overview of the housekeeping rules. Firstly, please keep yourselves on mute if it is not your turn to speak. It just helps us manage the background noises. And the event is being recorded and we will upload it on UNESCO Chair's YouTube channel. So I hope we have your permission to do so. And this one is basically for the audience. We request you to put your questions in the Q&A or the chat box. And our panelists, we will take them, all the questions at the end of the event. But the panelists, you are welcome to engage with the audience through the session as well. So now I would like to proceed to the main event. We are all here today for the much anticipated international book launch of Bridging Knowledge Cultures, Rebalancing Power in the Co-Construction of Knowledge. This book is a product of sweat and tears and a very long global research project led by UNESCO Chair in collaboration with the Knowledge for Change Consortium. Well, we call them K4C as well. This was edited by Dr. Walter Lepore, along with UNESCO co-chairs Dr. Rajesh Tandon and Professor Bud Hall. This book is available online in open access, free of cost, and through the event, we will put the link in the chat box. So all the attendees, you are welcome to click on that link, download the book, and I hope you enjoy reading it. And a little bit about the book. Through several thought-provoking case studies and insightful analysis, Bridging Knowledge Cultures sheds light on the challenge and opportunities of co-constructing knowledge across diverse cultural contexts. It emphasizes the importance of inclusive practices and mutual learning in fostering meaningful partnerships between academia and local communities. A very important aspect in today's world, especially as humanity races towards climate crisis, poverty, economic disparities, and several other challenges of our times, which are so well articulated under SDGs. So, joining us today are our esteemed editors, authors, contributors, partners, and guests, all of whom have played an integral role in some way or other in shaping the narrative within these pages. So, without further ado, I would like us to delve into this enlightening journey together as we celebrate the international launch of Bridging Knowledge Cultures. So, firstly, for this, I would like to invite the editor, Dr. Rajesh Tandon, to give an overview of the book and the vision that had culminated in the final product. So, Dr. Rajesh Tandon, well, he is a lot of things. He dons many hats. He is an internationally acclaimed leader and practitioner of participatory research and development. He is the founder president of Participatory Research in Asia, PRIA, which is a global center for participatory research and training, and also co-chair of the UNESCO Chair in Community-Based Research and Social Responsibility in Higher Education. The UNESCO Chair grows out of and supports UNESCO's global lead to play a key role in assisting countries to build knowledge societies. Dr. Tandon also heads the Forum for Indian Development Cooperation as its chairperson. He is chairperson of the committee to carry out appraisal of the University Grant Commission of India, a scheme under Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, and member of expert group for development of educational framework for global citizenship in higher education institutions, constituted by the University Grants Commission. So with this background, I think I will hand over the floor to you, Dr. Tandon. Please take it away.
Thank you, Pragya. Namaskar. Welcome to you all. Delighted to be here. As Pragya said, this is a wonderful opportunity to share what we have all been working together. I prepared a short PPT, but you have already in the chat box links to the book, free, open access, downloadable, and also the popular practitioner guide as well. So let me start with my PPT. If my colleague will put it up, there it goes. And here we go. This book is jointly edited by Bud and me and our long-standing research colleague, Dr. Walter Lepore, who is a professor in the School of Public Administration based in University of Victoria. So let's move on. How did this book come about? As several of you know, the UNESCO Chair began in 2012. And over a period of time, we discovered, to our great pleasure, that co-construction of knowledge has become a very important part of the research work that is going on in different ways around the world. We ourselves did some studies in the past on this theme, and we were able to look at the process of co-construction. Likewise, community university research partnerships, at least for the last 10, 12 years, have been practiced, discussed, and critiqued as the time goes on. In the process, when we supported the building of knowledge for change hubs, these are partnership hubs between academic and community activists, researchers, to do local contextual research. These knowledge for change hubs were intended to be, are intended to be co-constructed in a way that they mutually respect each other's knowledge and create an integrated framework. But we discovered, not surprisingly, that we all in the academic world have been schooled, trained similarly around the world. And we assume that there is a singular knowledge culture called the academic knowledge culture. Question is, do our community partners with whom we co-construct, do they have a similar understanding of knowledge, or is that different? And how does it help in bridging, since co-construction has become such an important part of addressing key issues of our times? So let's move to the next slide. The international study on bridging knowledge cultures was actually funded by SHRC in Canada 3 years ago. It ran through COVID. So we invited 10 of our knowledge hubs, knowledge for change hubs, in countries as far and wide as Indonesia, Malaysia, India, South Africa, Uganda, Tanzania, Canada, and Colombia. So the first task we took was to figure out what do we mean by knowledge culture. Since very little is actually written about this. And then we had the challenge of doing field research during COVID times. So we attempted, through the consultation of our partners in these 10 locations, a process of global synthesis of findings, the highlight of which I'm going to share with you in a moment. Next slide. So these are the 10 case studies. You will be hearing about 2 of them today. Arusha, Tanzania, looked at Maasai water practices. Durban, South Africa, looked at early childhood development practices. Gulu, Uganda, on indigenous herbal knowledge. Ibage, Colombia, on community aqueduct, sort of a water body management. Jaipur, India, waste management. Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, indigenous organ asli communities, about which Dr. Azawati will tell us a little more in a while. And from South Africa, rural health and education, Dr. Karen today will tell us more about. Surabaya, Indonesia, Kenjeran fishing community, and Victoria, Canada, on learning indigenous knowledge. The book contains all these chapters written by a team of authors who are both academics and practitioners. And today we will hear from two of them. And as our colleagues have mentioned, there will be another event tomorrow and on 7th and on 11th, where you will gradually learn to hear about different case studies and perspectives as well. In the course of this study, we found some fascinating differences between what we assume to be academic knowledge culture and what we confronted as community knowledge culture. And community knowledge is not singular. That's why there is an S, because community knowledge varies with context, with language, with culture. For the community, the purpose of knowledge is to support main business of life. While for academic community, it is the realm of knowledge, exploring truth, etc. Community knowledge, very pragmatic and normative. Normative in the sense of a vision of how knowledge should serve their business of life. And much of academic knowledge is conceptual and theoretical, of course, many a times grounded in empirical work. The curating of knowledge happens through practice in the community, but producing knowledge based on methods happens in academia. The validation of knowledge in academia is through competitive process of peer review. Professional peers review it from time to time and get feedback. But validation in community knowledge cultures happens through consensus and cooperation. We found a very interesting distinction that academic knowledge tends to be teaching its knowledge producers to seek a distance from the reality they are theorizing about. It's sort of the golden standard of objectivity. But for community knowledge, emotionality, lived experience, and to some extent spirituality is embedded in their lived experience of knowledge. So community knowledge is more grounded in their emotions and spirituality and does not pretend to seek distance and objectivity. Much of the academic knowledge based on the framework of instrumental rationality has actually served to control the rest of the nature, including human nature many a times. But we discovered that community knowledge cultures tend to have an emotional connect to the ecology and nature surrounding them because they are contextual, they are local, they are land-based, and their local ecological domains are important for their life as well. The next one. As you can see, it is a big book with lots of case studies, and I am trying to quickly provide you with some highlights of the findings. Next slide, please. Okay. The purpose was to also then figure out how bridging between academic knowledge and community knowledge happens. What are the challenges in doing so? We discovered that successful bridging entailed acceptance of community knowledge as legitimate. And this is not always the case. Most co-construction folks tend to assume that community understands knowledge as they do. Because a lot of this partnership is relational, and in order to build bridges, you need a trust as a cement, kind of a cementing process of building bridges between two different types of diverse, different types of knowledge cultures, different types of institutional bases. The third very interesting lesson we got, that where stories were being narrated and academic researchers were willing to listen to those stories with interest and respect, building bridges became easier. Community knowledge is conveyed through stories, examples, metaphors, symbols, mythologies, anecdotes. But many times our academic researchers are not prepared to listen to them as sources of knowledge. They become dismissive. We also discovered in many societies, in these 10 case studies in several places, that the starting point for community was to pretend that they did not know anything. When academic researchers went to them to explore a collaborative knowledge producing work, they said, well, you are trained, you are academic, you know, you tell us, we don't know anything. And many a times academic researchers fell for it and started telling them what they wanted to do. But we discovered that if you stay calm and you tell the community, of course, you are leading your life. Of course, you are doing reasonably well in your life with your kids, with your agriculture, with your work. You must surely know something. Then they gradually begin to open up. Because over the centuries, we have devalued their knowledge, and knowledge gets equated with academic certification. A last very interesting point was that they always had interlocutors in between. There were sort of boundary spanners between the world of academic research and the world of community knowledge. And these were either a mechanism within an academic institution or a civil society organization in between, or some community organizations which were able to reach out to the academics. The, the discussion on structures for shared leadership and decision making in research institutions, in universities, is a conclusion that we drew, that such a relationship can only be sustained if there are institutional mechanisms inside research institutes and higher education institutions, a reality which we still confront in each of our institutions and countries around the world. So let me just move to the last slide, and Pragya, give me a minute, please, and I will then move on. Rebalancing power in co-construction. We were not surprised, but we were confronting the reality that even our knowledge for change hubs, who had intellectually understood that community knowledge cultures are different, had a great deal of difficulty in rebalancing power. The power always resided in academic researchers, not just the power of resources, but also the power of hierarchical ranking of knowledge systems. I think we need to remind ourselves of the recent UNESCO recommendations on open science, which so eloquently articulate the importance of recognizing multiplicity of knowledge cultures, knowledge systems, knowledge producing entities, and to build openness to them. As was mentioned earlier, I recently came across a very interesting set of studies which show that many research funding agencies in countries like France, Italy, UK, US, Canada, and even I heard in South Africa, have begun to put resources in community-led research practices in response to the crises of climate displacement, because their solutions would necessarily have more actionable knowledge production, which can be utilized to address these crises. The big challenge is in finding a collaborative, trusting relationship which helps systematize community and indigenous knowledge ethically. It raises the question about who owns that knowledge, what is their data protection methodology, and in many countries, this has not yet developed adequately, an area which needs future exploration. Dissemination of knowledge so produced in a bridged manner also needs multiple forms, not just in written books and journals and conferences, but also in ways that can be acted upon and understood by policymakers, community practitioners, civil society, etc. And increasingly, some research funding is beginning to support this, though we are a long way away from finding recognition of these forms of dissemination when we come to assess the performance of researchers and academics in universities. I want to thank you for your patience, and I look forward to hearing from our other colleagues in this panel. Thank you, Pragya.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tandon. That was a great overview, and I think it helps us align ourselves with the book and all the values and everything that is inculcated and what we are in it for. So thank you so much for that detailed introduction. So with this, we would move to the next segment, which is basically we would delve into the case studies, or the contributors and authors who have contributed to the book. I would request them to be ready. With that, I would like to invite first author, the first case study. This is from Bridging Knowledge Cultures in Rural Health Education, the Trompsburg project from South Africa, from North K4C Hub. The presenter is Dr. Karen Venter. She heads the Service Learning Division within the Directorate of Community Engagement at the University of the Free State. Having a PhD in higher education studies with a specialization in the field of community engagement and service learning, she is responsible for the institutionalization of engaged scholarship and global networking to advance higher education engagement. Karen has presented papers and workshops at various national and international conferences, published in journal articles, and co-authored book chapters like this one. He is certified by the University of Victoria as a mentor in the Knowledge for Change initiative run by the UNESCO Chair, and in partnership with Northwest University, heads the South African Northern K4C Hub at the UFS. With this, I would like to invite Dr. Karen. Please take the floor.
Thank you, Dr. Pragya. If you can just share my PowerPoint, please.
Yes, sure. Sonu, can you please?
There we are. Good morning to everybody. So I'm saying good morning because it's from South Africa, but respecting the time of your day also. So as mentioned by Pragya, I am Karen Venter and I work at the University of the Free State. And just to bring some context, in South Africa, we have the South African Knowledge for Change Hub. And then within that, we have the Northern and the Southern Hub. And we are from the North Hub. And it is a partnership between Northwest University and the University of the Free State, and then in concurrency with our community partners. This Trompsburg project at the South African North K4C Hub was authored by Leslie Wood, Renee Botha, Bibi Bouwman, Hendrik Coetzee, Alfie Moorman, and myself. And we were also the researchers, and we are also part of this hub. Next slide, please. So I'm saying a warm welcome and hello from the center of South Africa. That is the heart of South Africa in Bloemfontein. So with regards to the context of the case study, the University of the Free State has got a Trompsburg community-based interprofessional education and rural health project. And I will just share a little bit background about it. So it was conducted in the Garik district of the South Africa's Southern Free State province. And this was uniquely considered as a good context for an in-depth exploration of the participants' subjective experiences to identify knowledge differences or gaps, and then recommendation to bridge these knowledge cultures. The engagement initiatives include collaboration and knowledge sharing between groups of individual community members diagnosed with diabetes, and then interprofessional education students from the university, then traveling to Trompsburg area to engage. And these students are the background of nursing, nutrition, dietetic, occupational therapy, and then also physiotherapy, medicine, and biokinetics. The aims of the initiative are to improve health outcomes by establishing lifestyle groups to enable sharing of health information among the participants and thereby encourage sustainable, accountable lifestyle practices. The engagement with the lifestyle groups include home visits by the students accompanied by healthcare workers locally to conduct holistic screenings as well as 2-hour weekly lifestyle group meetings to discuss topics proposed by the lifestyle group members, facilitated then by the interprofessional education student groups. And then during COVID, it continued with virtual engagement in low technology environment, which included telephonic discussions between students and the lifestyle group members, the distribution of pamphlets themed around feedback from surveys regarding the current needs of the group members, and then low contact shortened home visiting, and the loan of university equipment to enable the lifestyle group members to self-monitor their sugar levels and blood pressure. And these student community engagement are supervised and monitored by academic personnel. Next slide, please. So just to elaborate on the context, this was not a community university research partnership, but it was per se grounded by research, exploring what took place during that, but not aimed at doing this knowledge sharing based on research. So the research aim and the questions was that the case study explored the different knowledge cultures and how they contribute to the power differentials between the university and the community partners. And then also interrogating the concepts of democratization of knowledge, validation, dissemination, and to help us understand how the university can then begin to change perceptions and behaviors within community university research partnerships. And the questions that we asked was, who has the right to create knowledge, and who decides if that knowledge is valid, and who will have access to that knowledge? Next slide, please. So the key findings was, and this also aligns with what Dr. Rajesh has shared with us, the university remains the main decision maker and leader in determining what knowledge is generated and shared. University coming and starting the conversation. Although both university and community benefit from the service provided by the students, the relationship is not equal since power relations were skewed in favor of the university. The findings indicate the need to adopt a more community-based research approach to find solutions to issues that negatively impact on health outcomes. Ongoing reflexive dialogue between the university and community representatives would encourage research that is a process of thinking through the ideas. And such dialogue is the basis, this is our conclusion, for bridging diverse knowledge cultures to reduce power inequalities and decide on actions to make the change process more ethical, inclusive, and sustainable. And I'm happy to say now that we have now started underpinning the collaboration and knowledge sharing in this health project with participatory action learning, action research, which is a form of community-based research. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Karen, for sharing that very interesting study. I am pretty sure that there would be people in the audience who would like to have a chat about this. So this is a request to the audience again, that if you have any questions or any comments for Dr. Karen, please put it in the chat box or in the Q&A, and we will definitely take it at the end. So with that, thank you so much, Dr. Karen, for that wonderful presentation. And we will move on to the second case study for today. This would be presented by the Mizan Hub from Malaysia. The case study is Learning with the Orang Asli Community. Dr. Izawati will please correct me if I am saying it correctly, incorrectly. So he is also the presenter from the Hub's end. Izawati Wu, she is an associate professor at the Faculty of Sharia and Law at University Saint Islam, Malaysia. Her research interest is in the law and indigenous peoples in Malaysia and other common law jurisdictions, as well as the international law. Dr. Izawati Wu, can you please take on the floor?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Pragya. So, Dr. Pragya, I saw that you opened the slide already. So, can you just continue with that? Is that okay?
Yes, sure.
All right. So that's good. Thank you so much. All right, thank you, Dr. Pragya. Hello, and to Dr. Rajesh Tandon, everyone, the speakers. Very good day to all of you. So in Malaysia, it's afternoon. So good afternoon from Malaysia, and a very good day to all of you. So thank you for the opportunity for us to join the BKC book project. So I think this is really, we are really proud to be part of the global initiative to be able to give the voice from Malaysia. So in the aspect of bridging knowledge culture. And for today, thank you for the opportunity to present our chapter in this session. So I would like to share with you the context on the chapter, especially my personal experience in the project. So before that, the Mizan K4C Hub is led by Professor Dr. Mahazan, and I will tell you the partners institution after this. So the topic of the chapter is learning with the orang asli. So just now I saw some misspelling, so it's okay. The orang is people actually. Asli is the original, so it means orang asli means original people. So the aim of the project is to learn with the orang asli, to learn from the orang asli. So we share with you the experience of Mizan K4C Hub, Malaysia. So my name is Izawati, as explained, introduced by Dr. Pragya just now. So in this project, we learn with the Orang Asli community of Guntur. So the name of the community, the village is actually Guntur. So we use the CBPR approach to know and understand the culture of the community, their history, tradition, and aspiration. So I don't want to go actually into detail as to the content of the book, as you all have already can read the book. So basically for today, I just would like to introduce the community, and I would like to give personal reflection on the project. So what I got actually personally from the project and from the reflection of the communities in the project. So can you move to next slide, please? So in this project, we work together with our partner institution. So you know that the name of the hub is Mizan K4C Hub, and our partner institution which joined our project is Teachers Training Institute from Kuala Lumpur, the Malaysian Youth Council, the Orang Asli chapter of Malaysian Youth Council, and the youth from Guntur village and the neighboring communities as well. So they are actually the students of the TTI, the Teachers Training Institute, and the community members from Guntur. So these are the image or the photo of us having the engagement session in the kampung, in the village. So next slide, please. So this is the setting, I think, the photo of the village. Guntur is the name of the village. It is located at the state of Negeri Sembilan. So that is one of the state in the Peninsular Malaysia. So as you can see, it's a very beautiful village. It's surrounded by forests and hills. So we can guess that their knowledge is connected to the ecology and to the nature surrounding them. So that's what we intend to learn from them. And some introduction on the Orang Asli. Orang Asli is an indigenous people of Peninsular Malaysia. So they are minority of less than 1% of the population of Malaysia. So basically about 200,000. Their numbers is 200,000. So Guntur community is of Temuan tribe. So that's they are about 18 tribes of the Orang Asli, and Temuan is one of them. So the practice adat perpatih. Adat is the name of the custom, which is a matrilineal system. So in this system, the women inherit property and bring blood lineage. So the ancestral land is guarded by male and leaders, chieftains and chieftains. And women may not sell the land or pass the land to her son. So that is the ancestral land, that is the land of the community. So it cannot be passed to the son, but would be passed by the daughter. So basically, under their system, women is the trustee of the land. So the Adat Pepatih Society in Negeri Sembilan, Malaysia is one of the few matrilineal societies found in Southeast Asia and the only one of its kind in the Peninsular Malaysia. So basically they have relation to the majority Malay population in Negeri Sembilan, and they practice basically generally similar adat system or the customary system. So this is some of the photos that we had during the engagement session with the people. So most of the program were actually conducted and organized and planned actually by the youth of the communities at Guntur. So we use CBPR approach, mainly in the form of discussion, dialogue, drawing of their maps, drawing of their ancestral land. So basically the way they think about their communities and identities, and telling stories about the communities and the origin of the communities as well, and the origin of the land as well. So basically this is just these are the photos of the engagement session. Next slide, please. So I would like to start this reflection with my own experience. So in my research, I mostly focus on the law and policy on the land and involving the indigenous peoples, especially in Malaysia. Throughout the work, there are many occasions that people told me that they thought most of the orang asli live in the forest, within the forest, hunting and foraging every day, moving from place to place. And even recently, one consultant of a forest-related project told me that when she went to the orang asli villages within her project area, she was shocked to learn that the orang asli are in fact living permanently in villages. So this is one of stereotypes about them. The fact of the matter is that only less than 10% of them are mobile, but the perspective of the general population is that they are mobile. So what I share with you here is the stereotypes of the orang asli, which is recorded by a study by Marlina Jamal here. So some of the stereotypes that they cling to their traditional lifestyle. So this is how it is portrayed in the media. They are mostly dependent on the forest. They have static social identity. They are weak and empowered. So these are some of the stereotypes of the orang asli. And also during the engagement, the youth also told us about the relation, the some name callings of them that they experience in school, for example. So this is, I think, because of the disconnection, I think, because of the the general population is not really do not really know the people. Okay, so please, please next slide, please. So what I learned from the BKC project is that I think it's the process of the project itself matters. So first is the involvement of the multiple institutions. Throughout the project, from the beginning of the planning of the project, we involve all of the partners institution to get together with the people and to join the community discussion. So I think this is really important experience for all of us, and it gives good benefit for the people to get to know the communities better. And then secondly, what is more special, I think, in the project is the participation of the youth from Guntur community. So they were the one who planned together with us, managed and communicated with their own community for the project, and ensured that the project was organized well. So their reflection from the project was also crucial for the outcome of the project. And then the third one is that all other members, not only from Mizan Hub, but also other institutions participating in the project also benefit in some ways or another. So personally, for me, I am now more respectful of the community, especially on their aspiration for the well-being of their own community. So next slide, please. Okay, secondly, what I think I would like to highlight today is the community project that we had could be a space or platform for expression and reflection for the community members. So especially for the elders, they found a platform to share their aspiration, heritage, history, and identity of the community to the other community members, especially the youth. So the youth also work, I think it works for the youth as well. I mean, the community project can be a space for them. So the youth found it beneficial to be able to listen on the aspect they did not know before, the aspect on the community. So I share with you their reflection. Please, next slide. The reflection by the youth here. I state here one of them wrote after the program we requested the youth to write their experience. So youth one, for example, said, I feel delighted to hear the sharing from the elders because they are very earnest and meticulous when recounting past events. And then the second one said, I feel very happy because I can hear all stories that were never known through this program. So the program provides exposure to outsiders and to the village community itself about how important the histories of the establishment of the village and also the sharing of ideas of each community that still exist to tell in details about past histories. So I think this is this experience, I think, enrich the knowledge for us all, not only for the youth, not only for the community, but also for the academic and the partners from the members from the partner institution. So it helps, I think it helps bridge our knowledge and awareness of community aspiration. So finally, I would like to thank the members of Guntur community who supported us in the project and the partner institution. So thank you. I hand over to you, Dr. Pragya.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Wu, for that very interesting presentation. And I am pretty sure that people in our audience would have some comments for you, some questions. And I request everyone to please use the chat box and Q&A to interact with the panelists. If you have any questions, we will take them towards the end of the session. And thanking our authors again, Dr. Karen and Dr. Wu, for presenting from their help's behalf, on their help's behalf, and presenting your case studies. It was really interesting to hear from both of you, which brings us to the next segment of the event, which is the expert comments. And I would like to invite our eminent guests on the floor. Firstly, I would like to invite Ms. Rowena Sigmani, Program Specialist at UNESCO Harare. With a background and early career in chemical engineering, Ms. Rawani joined UNESCO headquarters in Paris in 2007 in the natural sciences sector and later ran the chemistry program and International Year of Chemistry 2011. She thereafter took over UNESCO engineering program, and she's passionate about women in engineering and encouraging more youth to pursue careers in engineering and STEM. Now, as part of the education team in Harare, she is excited to be continuing with girls in STEM and also adding to her portfolio by working on higher education, climate change, and disaster risk reduction, education, and early childhood development. Ms. Rawani, I'm very glad to have you here, and we would really like to hear from you your thoughts and reflections on the books and on the case studies that we've just heard. I'm handing over the floor to you.
Thank you, Dr. Pragya. And to the co-editors, Drs. Rajesh Tandon, Walter Lepore, Budhol, to the UNESCO Chair in Community-Based Research and Social Responsibility of Higher Education, to the distinguished panelists, the authors and guests, as well as ladies and gentlemen who are online and joining us today. It gives me great pleasure to say a few words on this book launch, which is the Bridging Knowledge Cultures, Rebalancing Power in the Co-Construction of Knowledge. At the outset, I would like to congratulate all the authors and the editors and the UNESCO Chair in community-based research and social responsibility in higher education for the remarkable work that they have done in publishing this book. On behalf of UNESCO, we see this as a great guide that traverses all continents and is an essential tool for all practitioners and stakeholders. A striking feature of the book is that there are examples of different research areas from different parts of the world, Canada to Colombia, South Africa to Uganda, India to Indonesia, as well as countries in between. It is no small feat to involve and explore 10 community university research partnerships and the lessons learned from each. Bridging Knowledge Cultures, the title of the book, addresses pertinent topics that UNESCO engages in. You've just heard Dr. Tandon mention the UNESCO recommendation on open science. It addresses education, university partnerships, knowledge sharing, culture and cultural practices, indigenous knowledge, and sharing and preserving cultural knowledge. In Africa and in Zimbabwe, where I'm based, we find diverse communities where rich culture and traditional knowledge are not necessarily understood and shared openly to create an environment of mutually beneficial and equitable knowledge. Also, due to the social construct, research partnerships with communities can be challenging. However, I admire how the book brings out the knowledge transfer by storytelling, music, dance, spiritualism, and agricultural practices, among others, in different communities around the world that have participated. Bridging knowledge cultures through the case studies brings about an understanding of each other as well as communities and researchers, and also leads to learning for lasting peace. The theme for this year's International Day of Education, which was celebrated last week on the 24th of January. We find that education systems, as they currently exist, are not geared to address today's interconnected challenges, from global warming and loss of biodiversity to the accelerated digital revolution, deepening inequalities and democratic backsliding, conflicts and crisis. However, by bringing communities together, researchers and policymakers together to exchange, understand, and share knowledge, we can reimagine, redesign, and shape more peaceful, just, and sustainable societies. Despite the challenges, education possesses unparalleled transformative potential to mold equitable and sustainable futures. Bridging Knowledge Cultures looks into the future of education by sparking public discourse and catalyzing research and action to revitalize education and communication through all facets of our social construct, as well as breaking down the barriers. This book, Bridging Knowledge Cultures, together with the guide for community practitioners and organizations, is a great tool for communities, organizations, and stakeholders around the world, which I quote from the book, is leading to a more inclusive and comprehensive understanding of the world around us. Once again, congratulations to the editors and the authors, and we look forward to sharing this book with our UNESCO community and networks around the world so that we all can learn and benefit for the co-construction of knowledge between local communities, research institutes, and organizations. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Ramani. Thank you for your encouragement. And yes, please do share it with your network. Please do share it with your colleagues. That would be really helpful for us. It will really help us expand our values and our whatever we are planning to put in, whatever we have put in our book. I'm so sorry. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your talk. And I would now move on to the second guest for today, Dr. Sona Jharia Mins. Dr. Sona Jharia Mins is professor at the School of Computer and System Science at Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. She has over 33 years of teaching experience with research interest in machine learning and artificial intelligence, a journey that started from a town in Jharkhand. Hailing from the Oraon tribe, her cultural background fuels her commitment to tribal issues, including land rights, development impacts, and education disparities. She has a huge body of work, and trust me, it will take me a lot of time to cover all of it, but I will still list a few examples of her work. As Vice Chancellor of Sidho Kano Murmu University, Dumka, Jharkhand, she introduced MA in Santhal Culture Studies to propel research in tribal and indigenous cultures by tribal scholars. He had facilitated engagement between the UNESCO Chair, Priya, with SKMU for capacity building of tribal and non-tribal scholars in community-based participatory research, and she continues to serve as member of expert committee of Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, for Science and Technology Innovations for Livelihood Enhancement of Scheduled Tribes in India. Can I now invite you, Dr. Mins? Please take it away from here.
Thank you very much, Dr.
Ma'am, you are on mute. Can you please unmute yourself?
Oh, all right. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Pragya. And congratulations, Dr. Tandon, Professor Budhall, whom the two of them I've known personally, and to also the co-editor, Walter Lepore, and to all the authors. Being last to speak in the row is an advantage because most of the good things are covered, and I do not wish to repeat for paucity of time, and also, to be able to say something different. As I was introduced, my journey or getting to know, my acquaintance with Priya, Dr. Rajesh Tandon, and shortly with his work as UNESCO Chair in community-based participatory research and the social responsibilities of higher education institution was like a happy moment for me to come about. And I think I came over from my university in Jharkhand, which is the heartland of tribal populations in India, to Delhi, and in 2021 December. And post that, there was a very intense engagement of interacting with Priya in order to also be able to take forward some of the mandate I think they were anyway implementing and working on at various knowledge for change hubs. And so this is a bit of my introduction of being engaged with the UNESCO chairs and sharing the similar kind of quests that they were already rolling out and implementing. Coming to the book, it is a very, very comprehensive testimony of a journey. And this journey seems to be very different from a typical academic research, as Dr. Tandon was listing out and comparing the community-based research and academic research. And the very term, just the title of the book is so appropriate, Bridging Knowledge Cultures. So here is a bridge that I would like to cling on to. And also to say rebalancing power in co-construction of knowledge. And so I would like to take the two other terms, which is rebalancing of power, as well as co-construction. And when it is the terms such as co-construction, I'm sure there's been a long experience of having to go through various experiences and then to aggregate the core, which comes out as a knowledge, but not by the experts, so to say, because there are no, I think the term expert is, we rarely see in this domain. But then the 10 case studies are going to be very, very helpful for each reader to also extract or learn for oneself and to apply in their circumstances. Because from the two testimonies that we heard from South Africa and Malaysia, I think it is so heartening to note that it's not just the achievements or the result which comes at the end, but the process also is an outcome. So there are outputs as well as outcomes of each of these experiences. I think very scientifically designed book has, in the first part, presented theoretical perspectives, and also it's not typically, the third part is not conclusion, but it says learning to bridge knowledge cultures. And it was again very nice to read at least the part 1, which is theoretical perspectives, and part 3, because then we can, I mean, this is how I do evaluation of PhD thesis. So I did that to then go back to each of the case studies. And in the last part, in the part 3, while learning to bridge knowledge cultures, there are two chapters. Last one, of course, is a conclusion. But the previous one says art of bridging. And I was wondering whether it could have been design or craft of bridging, but it is rightfully taking forward, I mean, going back to the questions of, to qualify the kind of partnerships that could be an outcome. Also, with different knowledge cultures to deal with the power inequality, and therefore to actualize or to put in practice the co-construction. And further, the last question is about the sustainability of the bridge itself. And so that this sort of, to me, seems like a first must-read book for the practitioners who also would like to then go to the next level of discoveries of not only aligning with the sustainable development goals, but then nuances that are probably also applicable to certain contexts. And I really like the keyword, the entire keyword of the last but one chapter, which is bridging power, acceptance. I mean, everything is with the dash, so there is only one keyword, and that's again interesting. It reads like this: bridging power, acceptance, community knowledge, boundary spanner, research partnership. And so this long composite one keyword, I think, says it all. And I really wish to, I would like to see how from this book, when the Knowledge for Change hubs would be able to read the experiences of the other Knowledge for Change hubs, as well as the new hubs which would come about, would have an advantage of the experience, not only experience, but the learning of this one iteration of going through completing their work as Knowledge for Change hubs. And therefore, I would like to congratulate once again all the authors for having had their personal experience, as Dr. Wood was narrating. It's not only the outcome of the project, not only the process, but personal experiences which have enriched individuals, breaking stereotypes, as well as, it's the reverse dissemination, if I may say, use the word. It's not only the dissemination of what was the outcome, but there is a reverse dissemination also and benefiting from it. And so it is a testimony of a journey, and which brings many more tributaries to be explored. And as it is visible that mostly these case studies have been from the global south, besides Canada, but then in their own locations, they could also again be influencers of many more such hubs for change, and which will come out with even richer knowledge, and with some of these jargons such as democratizing knowledge and decolonizing in academic spaces can actually be practiced. With these words, I'm very grateful and humbled to be part of this international book launch. And thank you very much, Dr. Tandon. And I wish to continue to engage in whatever capacity, because I'm no more in the university where I initiated some of these capacity building programs for the first generation learners to be researchers of their own communities. And so I hope I would be part of probably the second iteration of the journey in one way or the other. Thank you. It's been a learning experience for me too. Thank you very much. And Johar, as it is used in my part of the country, to greet one and all, which is timeless. So it works. Johar and Namaskar.
Thank you, Dr. Miz and Johar. Thank you so much for your kind words, and we hope that your support for us continues, and we hope to continue working with you and collaborating with you on several other projects. Thank you so much for all your support. With this, I think we are ready to move on to the next segment, which is the Q&A with the audience. And I think we have a few questions already. So please, everyone, any questions that you may have, please put it in the Q&A box and the chat box. Currently, I will start with the first question that we have. This is from Gauri Khanna. Gauri has recently joined our UNESCO Chair, and she has asked, I think this question is for both Dr. Wook and Dr. Karen. Looking back, what aspects of the community participatory approach worked particularly well in your specific case studies? So, Dr. Karen, Dr. Wook, can you please take this question?
So Dr. Pragya, can you repeat the question? I actually don't see that question from here. Is it from Ruchika here?
No, the question is from Gauri Khanna. It's in the Q&A box. The question is, what aspects of community participatory approach worked particularly well in your specific case study?
All right, so can I address that before Dr. Karen? Okay, so from the from the experience, okay, maybe I could explain before this. What I did in my research is more on a traditional research. So basically, it's really straightforward interview, for example. Okay, however, for the CPPR approach that we conducted in this case study, we found that the discussion and the conduct of the drawing, for example, allow the community speak, I think, more comfortably. So I think it will allow them to to feel easy with us and to talk freely to us. So I think it's really effective way of engaging with them. So while they are talking to each other, they draw their map. For example, they draw the about their communities, for example, about their history, about their land areas, for example. So they talk about so many things apart from the question that we gave. So actually we learn more from them while using the CBPR approach, using the drawing method and the community discussion among specific gender. So for example, we make group according to gender, men and women, and the age as well, the youth. So I think they uh, I think it's more effective ways of CBPR. And then I also had experience of trekking with the orang asli. So that is the trekking. We went to to national park, and then I get the orang asli to accompany us for trekking in the forest in the national park. So we feel that that way communication and dialogue during the trekking is easier for them to talk about the communities. So I think that is really effective way of engaging and learning from them. So that is my take for that question. Thank you for the question.
Yes, thank you for the question. The positive thing that I can reflect on, being one of the contexts of the partnership, is that the lifestyle group members indicated what is the topics or the learning needs that the knowledge should be shared about. So that in that sense, it was not skewed coming from the university to say this is the learning outcomes of students that they need to then share and gain experience in, but they listened to and the needs analysis was done to address the exact knowledge that was needed for addressing the lifestyle group for the healing to take place. So for me, that was one of the very good contexts or elements in the partnership. The other one is that great groundwork was done establishing the partnership at the onset, before the project began, involving a lot of stakeholders in the community, but then also inviting the local community health workers to be part of the conversation. That was also very good. And then finally, some of the students came to say that we have learned from the community. The community have learned from the students. And then also the academics involved have learned from community and vice versa. But they have learned that you first have to establish relationship. And that relationship forms part of the learning. And then furthermore, that they all need to learn to listen. And to listen more. And then furthermore, finally, that students shared that they can learn about storytelling, because that is how the knowledge are shared in and the knowledge are constructed in the community. So that students can learn how to do that, and then in that very same sense bridge the knowledge culture of how to direct knowledge. I think that is, in a sense, summarizing the good elements.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Wook and Dr. Karen. I hope, Gauri, that answers your question. Now we're moving on to the next question, which is by Love Mo. Question is, bridging diverse knowledge cultures is an exciting area. I have a question with regard to indigenous societies in Africa, which are largely oral communities. Knowledge is not written down, but is stored in elders' hearts and minds and passed orally from one generation to next. My question is how to promote building of bridges in this context. Universities as leaders in co-construction of knowledge tend to be limited in terms of advancing, preserving, documenting African indigenous knowledge. What strategies can universities use to bridge this gap evident in oral communities? I would like to invite all panelists to weigh in. Firstly, I would like to invite Dr. Tandon. Sir, would you like to take this question?
A very complicated and central question. I just want to bring to your attention. In this book, there is a chapter called Understanding Community Knowledge, 20 pages. Look at how knowledge is defined in the community context, and therefore how it is culturally, ritualistically, and linguistically expressed. Much of the academic research is done in dominant European languages, even in the global south. In some countries of the global south, higher education research is done only in European language, not even allowed to do in local language. So the second thing that is in detail described here is in this book of practice for practitioners summary on page 59. And it says, stories can be stored as data. And with the digital world that we are in, music is stored. If Spotify can do it on our mobile, why can't we listen to indigenous knowledge stored, validated, organized, classified? What's the difficulty? We have, Dr. Minj mentioned, with the community in Santhal community in Jharkhand, that's what we are trying to do, is to store their knowledge about agriculture, healthcare, herbal medicine, etc. in all form. And ultimately, it's not the WhatsApp or the article which is going on. I believe podcast is the dominant form of learning these days among the young. So maybe there is no need to only rely on written, printed world. There are other ways. But the difficulty is for academics to acknowledge, first of all, that stories are data. I want to give you another example, and you can quote it in all your higher education institutions which have a school of management. The best schools of management today are doing storytelling for future managers. They say storytelling is the best form of learning. When communities tell a story, we say, they don't know any, the traditional knowledge. What can they? So the world is changing. The tools are available. Are we willing? That is the starting point. Are we willing?
Thank you, Dr. Tandon. Dr. Karen, would you like to weigh in as well?
Yes, I can certainly agree. And as I mentioned, our students said that they would like to learn about storytelling and that knowledge can share in that way. But I would also say digital stories and documentaries that are being made to document that indigenous knowledge is also a way to continue and to keep that and to harvest that knowledge. Yes.
Okay, can I add to that?
Yes, please.
As for the orang asli in Malaysia, so there are actually many studies done to record their knowledge, their oral, the knowledge which is in the form of which is I think imparted through oral tradition. However, like Dr. Rajesh mentioned just now, most of them are in English. So I think that is because the academic I think prefer more in English. So I think many feel that English is better for writing, for academic writing, rather than the local language. I think that is the problem with the dissemination of the knowledge which has been recorded by many sociologists and the anthropologists. So I think more should be done. So as we are always encouraged to write in Malay, so that the people it can benefit the people who from whom that we take the knowledge. So I agree with both Karen, Dr. Karen and Dr. Rajesh. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Rook. And I think we still have a few more questions coming in, but I think in the interest of time, we will move on to the next segment now. And Dr. Wook, some of these questions are directly addressed to you, so please feel welcome to engage with the participants in the chat box. Well, we'll move on to the next segment, and for that, I would like to invite Dr. Alice Lamwaka. Dr. Lamwaka is lecturer and head of pharmacy department at Gulu University, Uganda, which is one of our K4C hubs, and they have also partnered with us in contributing to the book. He is an academic scholar, consultant, clinical practitioner with proven ethical and professional track record in areas of pharmaceutical care, management, clinical research, translating indigenous knowledge and indigenous knowledge systems into a science that can be used as a clinical instrument, novel researcher in traditional medicine, and innovations in higher education management strategy for sustainable development goals towards Uganda Vision 2040. So, Professor Lamwaka, can you please take the floor? We would like to hear your reflections and your journey through this book. Professor Lamwaka, can you join?
Hello,
Yes, we can hear you.
can you hear me? Good afternoon, everyone. It's so exciting to be in this group. I have to begin by sending an apology. I had challenges with the internet, but finally I'm glad I'm with you. I thank everyone for their enthusiasm and participation in this very important event of the book launch on bridging knowledge gaps. This is the beginning of a journey to 1,000 miles. Indigenous knowledge and indigenous knowledge systems, as we all know, has been demonized. And I thank all the members for putting in a lot of effort and coming on board to promote this in indelible ink. I believe this is going to run from generation to generation, and a book that will be cited by many students and researchers alike. Bridging diverse knowledge as cultures, as noted by all, is a very exciting area that must be aggressively promoted. You have started it and continue. It must go on. Universities, just like Gulu University, is working hard to promote building of bridges through collaborations and action research with engaged community models. The next step I suggest should be to form partnerships and work together to co-construct the knowledge by preserving, documenting, and creating models that can be duplicated, stored, validated, and organized and put in libraries, school libraries, university libraries, and even public libraries, not in one country, but in most countries of the world. We should then work together to have an adaptive form of learning And as universities will encourage bridging knowledge systems to be incorporated into the curriculum. As Gulu University, we are already walking that step, and we ask everyone to visit us and try to work as a team to look at gaps which can promote knowledge systems within the communities and develop common models to engage the communities and work out a curriculum that can benefit even those who have not gone to university level. It should be based on community participatory action research. I thank you all. Thank you very much for making me a member of this team. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Lamaka, for your comments. And well, now we will quickly move on to the last item in the agenda today. Before closing, we have a short 3-minute video from the lead editor of the book, Dr. Walter Lepore, who unfortunately cannot join the session today with us, live with us. He is an assistant professor at the School of Public Administration at the University of Victoria, Canada, and the research coordinator for the UNESCO Chair. He is also co-founder of the K4C Salish 3 Training Hub, that is formal partnership between the University of Victoria, the Victoria Foundation, and the Victoria Native Friendship Center. So can I request my colleague, Sonu, can you please play the video?
Hello everyone, this is Walter Lepore. I'm one of the editors of the BKC book. I want to acknowledge that I'm recording this video from the traditional territories of the Lekwungen-speaking people, also known as Victoria, British Columbia, Canada, where I have the privilege of living, working, and raising my family. Thank you so much to Dr. Tandon and the PRIA team for organizing this event, and thank you to the audience for attending. Today, you have had the opportunity to learn from 2 case studies, one about the Orange Asli indigenous communities of Peninsular Malaysia, their unique knowledge and culture, especially in the context of sustainable living. In another case, from one of the South African hubs, working on a health education project in a rural area, exploring how different knowledge cultures can learn from each other. I want to also thank the presenters for sharing their insights from their case studies. As a closure to this meeting, I would like to underscore 2 important contributions stemming from our project and how we can move forward. The first one is related to the theoretical contribution we made by coining the term knowledge cultures in the context of community-university research partnerships. The term is commonly used to describe different aspects of knowledge management and organizational cultures, but within the boundaries of a single organization. Building on that, we developed a theoretical framework and definition of knowledge cultures that can help us understand and address power differences between diverse organizations collaborating in research. I encourage you to use and refine the BKC analytical framework and our definition of knowledge cultures in your future research. Please cite and share our collective work. The second one is related to the practical contributions of our project. I'm not going to spoil the book recommendations, so please go and read it. But a key message coming out from the case studies is that in order to rebalance power relations in research partnerships, we, academics, need to value community knowledge and the role of community practitioners and organizations in knowledge production. This starts by recognizing that knowledge creation, validation, dissemination, and use take different forms in the community, that community knowledge is not lesser than or inferior to academic knowledge, and that community knowledge is valuable to advance complex understandings of various subject areas, as it represents individual and collective values, and is directly related to the needs of everyday life situations. I encourage you to put into practice some of the recommendations posted in the book to bridge knowledge cultures, and please keep us informed about progress you make in creating more equitable research partnerships. I would like to finish with the first piece of advice I was given when I started working in the field of community-based participatory research a decade ago, but that still resonates with me. If you're an academic and you are not uncomfortable doing community-based research, you are probably not doing it right. Be ready to listen, be prepared to unlearn, and remain humble, open, and vulnerable. Thank you so much for your attention, and if you have any questions about our project or our work, feel free to reach out. Bye for now. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Sonu, for playing that video. And now we have come close to the end of our session today. And before we end it, I would like to inform everyone, as Dr. Tandon had also said, that there is another book launch tomorrow for the Asia region at the same time. There will be new set of case studies that we will delve into. So if you would like to learn more, please join us tomorrow as well. And I hope you will download the book from the open access link that my colleagues have shared earlier, and we will share it again. So I hope you will download it and enjoy reading it. Now, as we are coming to a close, I would like to firstly thank all our panelists for joining us today, and all our partners and members and K4C hubs and community partners who made this book a reality. Our editors, Dr. Walter, Dr. Tandon, Dr. Budhall, for their vision and guidance. And lastly, all our audience for joining us today, and hopefully we will see you again either tomorrow or on February 7th when we have the India launch. All the details will be shared on our social media. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so
Wonderful,
much,
wonderful.
Thank you
everyone.
very much. It
Bye,
was
everyone.
lovely being listening to
Stay
you.
well, stay well.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you,
Okay.
Pragya.
See
Thank
you
you,
all
Dr.
again.
Yes. Thanks, Pragya.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Bye.
Dr. Mins.